since it's another day, billions will kneel and pray. Anything to aid escape from the world so cold and gray.
Let the show not be infringed, boy.
And we're back with another episode of Buttons Up. We're here with you today on this beautiful February day, coming back to you the way we always do, once a week. Coming into your speakers and talking to you for about 40 to 50 minutes.
However long is necessary.
Yeah.
For your weekly download, you know?
A car drive, you know.
Yeah.
So
Glad to be back, though.
Yeah, the new podcatcher or pod service that we're using has gone off flawlessly as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, zero problems.
Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah, it's great. And we're getting real-life analytics finally, so we know who's listening.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what it's like at the end of a 30-day period.
Yeah.
I was surprised, we live in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Surprised that we had almost as many downloads in Russia as we did in Ohio.
So, to our Russian comrades, Privyet.
Privyet. Privyet, Russia.
But no, and we got some people from across the pond, our brothers from across the ocean, you know. Them English folkin'.
I'm just trying not to talk shit.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It's hard. But they're just like us. They're just, unfortunately, they still have they have a monarch and we have a government.
Yeah, which we both need to get rid of.
Yeah.
Both of them. I mean, we're both fucked.
And then we got our friends from the north,
Canada.
From Canada.
It's Mexico.
What's that all about?
It's in Mexico, too. We had one from Brazil. I'm not sure what that's about.
Brazil.
I'd like to know what led one person in Brazil to be like, what is this?
It's an old Nazi in hiding, is what it is.
Yeah. What was Europe like? I didn't see.
I don't know. I just looked at the big ones.
Like the top ones, yeah.
Yeah.
We've hit the lower 48, too, in the United States. We have not touched Hawaii somehow.
Well, so if you got a Hawaiian friend, do you think we'd be getting into this show?
Or Alaska.
I feel like we would definitely touch with Alaska folk too. They're definitely they're the freest of the free American folk.
We need to start targeting our maybe some topics in these areas.
Let's talk about them grizzly bears.
Yeah.
Them bears are going to get us. Or what I really love is a nice bowl of paella.
Yeah.
Or poke.
I'd have to hit Google. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, I don't know. I think paella is some sort of mash.
Okay.
And poke is like cut up raw fish and vegetables. It's supposed to be really good.
I like mashed potatoes. Does that count?
But nah, so... And
simple
then
bones.
To our Ohio listeners, I know a few of you, get the word out to your friends, man.
Yeah.
We should have more Ohio listeners than anything else.
A prophet is not known in his native land.
Yeah, I mean... For
fact.
real.
It's a fact.
Yeah, but the thing is, we've got just as many listeners in fucking Russia as we do in Ohio.
It's because everyone else is doing the deep work.
Apparently.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
I was also, I don't know, shocked and awed, like a military action, every time I check those numbers.
Yeah.
Should tell all your friends, share the podcast, let them all know, get us out to more people. Continue to blow my mind.
Spread the word.
Yeah. And we had 98% downloads from Apple Podcasts, which was crazy. I figured it was like 50-50.
Yeah.
Between there and Samsung or whatever, but it's 98% Apple. You know what that means?
Yeah.
It means you need to go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating.
Yeah, for sure.
Help us out. Help us rise on the list. Get more listeners.
Go on Stitcher and do the same thing.
Help us out.
Do whatever you gotta do. But no, so
we will shout you out, give you love, whatever you want.
Yeah, the pod being definitely got off without a hitch, and I have to say I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, I slaved like a person in a Nike sweatshop.
Yeah,
putting those episodes up, and I was like, this is too easy.
Yeah,
something terrible is going on. I felt like a fire was all around me.
But no, it worked out just fine.
Yeah, it was good.
Nobody even some of our listeners that reached out to us didn't even notice the hiccup in the first place.
Yeah, somehow the podcasters, the apps, they just deleted the old feed and re-downloaded the new feed without a problem.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Living in the future. This is some Jetson shit.
It's like some fucking witchcraft,
Right.
But no, so we're here today, and today's episode we're going to be talking about. It's kind of an extension of last week's episode.
Not yet, though.
What's that?
Get this stuff real quick.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Not to jump.
Sorry.
It's no problem. Just jumping around.
I almost jumped too far.
That's what we do, though.
Yeah.
That's what we do here.
Yeah.
We got 2 new Patreon supporters this week.
Oh, shit.
I'd like to shout out the Kung Fu Panda.
Oh.
Nice and gentle looking.
Mm-hmm.
But it's iron wrapped in cotton. He'll fucking kill you.
Yeah.
With his martial arts abilities.
Mm-hmm.
He could also talk someone into swallowing their own tongue, kind of like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah. Like to multiple Migs.
Yeah, the guy that threw semen on Clarice.
You know, that guy that says, I can smell your cunt.
Yeah. I cut myself.
I, on the other hand, cannot.
Look at the blood. You know?
Yeah.
So thank you for your generous patronage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't put it on the Patreon because he said taxation is theft.
Oh.
And that means a lot.
Okay.
You know, so I allegedly wrote Bones and Tubs podcast all over his donation. Mm-hmm. It'll be going into the bank account. Our number 2, we have Reverend Do Nasty.
Reverend Do Nasty.
Up and coming star.
Hopefully Reverend Do Nasty is going to have some content here soon.
It's going to have some.
We could all turn you on to if you're into it.
All of our adult listeners, at least.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. NSFW and children.
18 plus.
Yeah, definitively.
But we're going to have him on, probably. I told him he could.
Holy fucking shit.
He's like,
that fucking episode is going to be fucking crazy, dude.
You care if I wear a priest outfit? I'm not wearing anything underneath it.
I don't know how I feel about our entire audience getting put on the dick. Basically for 50 minutes straight.
Fuck it, man. They're just like we are. They love it just as much as we do.
I mean, we put ourselves on the dick for 50 minutes on the episode, but like, he's going to send that energy back out at the listeners,
that's
you know?
Good. I think that's what the people come for, though. Yeah. CUM.
Just to slap it in their face, you know?
Yeah. I think it'll just be shock and awe. It'll be like looking at a train wreck mixed with a dumpster fire.
I can see that.
And I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And let's see. Those are our 2 shout-outs.
And if you haven't yet, go over to Patreon and donate some money to us. Hopefully, now that we've settled into our new home of Podbean, we'll be able to get exclusive content for Patreon listeners only.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss out on that once it starts, because we're going to be doing road talks. We're going to be doing sidebars, raw, all sorts of stuff.
Silly shit.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, we're on all the socials, too. Let's get one of those plugs out there. Instagram, Facebook, Bones and Tubs, at Bones and Tubs.
Yeah.
Twitter, at Bones Tubs.
Yeah.
TikTok. I started one of those. Bones and Tubs podcast.
Yes, TikTok.
It's free real estate.
It's free. It is free real estate.
Anyway, moving right along, I've got an article here from Greenville Online, if you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
You sitting down?
I am.
We are next to each other. Enterprising town turns South Carolina highways into rivers of cash. This article is brought to you by Brother Elmo, longtime listener.
Cool.
And contributor to the, WBJ.
Well, okay.
It's a tiny little place with a lot of traffic going through it to the beach. A small town profited through traffic by seizing people's money. Asset forfeiture seizure. 2 roommates made the drive from King Mountain, North Carolina. One man drove from Michigan. Another was passing through from New York to perhaps somewhere more exciting. It was late spring of 2014, and the 2 highways that bisect the tiny rural village thronged with beach traffic. Most of the motorists were from out of state, bound for nearby Myrtle Beach, until they were pulled over. In case after case, their money was confiscated because an officer said the cash was found near drugs. Yet few motorists were ever arrested. They were caught in one of the most aggressive civil forfeiture operations in the state. Their stories were among the dozens of similar tales from the sleepy stretch of South Carolina where the police force seized and kept nearly $50,000 from unsuspecting motorists over a 2-year period, the equivalent of $135 for every person living in Nichols.
Sheesh.
That's 6 times more per resident than any other police department in the state. The next highest is Yamasee Police Department. Serves a jurisdiction of about 3 times the size of Nichols and sees $21 per capita. We found our story of Nichols by analyzing data gathered in a 2-year examination of forfeiture cases made by every law enforcement agency in the state from 2014 to 2016. Of the top 10 police departments that seized the most money per capita, 6 served jurisdictions of 4,000 people or less. With a population of 358, Nichols stood out. So they're just fleecing the fuck out of you.
I almost have to commend them because they dropped the entire pretext of the notion that they were there to protect and serve, and just went ahead with their true notion, which was being road pirates. Yeah. You know, we're just gonna go ahead and we're tired of the pretense. You know what I mean?
Apparently, they can seize vehicles too.
So let's just go ahead and fleece them. Like, we're going to shake them down. It's time for a shakedown. We need money. Lots of it.
Let's look at the profits of civil forfeiture from South Carolina. $17.6 million taken over a 3-year period. 206 televisions seized. 26 of those were returned. 401 vehicles, including vehicles seized under the state's DUI laws or driving under suspension laws. And 13 houses or businesses. So, anyway.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's good to know that it's going on.
Yeah, it's good to know they just,
sharing is
like I
caring.
said, at least they're not lying anymore.
No.
That's what they're really about.
They're just thieves.
We're going to take your shit.
That's what we're going to talk about today. You know, it's in line with exactly what Mark Passio's new video is about, which is this episode. It's our take. The Bones and Tubbs remix. Mark Passio, Duress, Dissidence, and Deadly Force.
Yeah, which is a really great seminar. If you have a chance, you go over to YouTube and you can watch the whole thing. It's about 2 hours and 40-something minutes long.
Yeah.
It's a little on the long side,
There's
but...
part 2, I think that's like 40 minutes, too.
Okay.
It's about the Second Amendment, but...
Okay.
It's a good little package.
Yeah, it's... but we're going to condense it down to a 40 to 50-minute episode for you, so...
I'm going to speed read.
Give you the gist,
I wrote some notes.
You go write them notes now.
Then we can parse it out.
Yeah.
Verbal mental tumblers.
Should we dissect it as we go along?
I think so.
Okay, that works for me.
Just punch me in the throat whenever you want me to shut the fuck up.
Oh, all right.
Let's see. Mark Passio on YouTube. Check him out. Follow him. Hit the bell. All that shit.
Mm-hmm.
His podcast is called What on Earth is Happening. It can be found on YouTube and all the podcast apps. His website is whatonearthishappening.com. I like how he started out his presentation. He starts by giving a history lesson on Samuel Adams.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he was just actually describing himself in a former life. Like he's probably the actual reincarnation of Samuel Adams.
I bet he wishes that.
Mark Passio, true patriot.
Yeah.
Samuel Adams, chief conspirator, as named by the British of the American Revolution, quoted as saying, "The truth is, all might be free if they valued freedom and defended it as they ought." Samuel Adams, September 27th, 1722 to October 2nd, 1803.
Just a sidebar real quick. That's Samuel Adams' cat when you listen to that seminar that he did.
Yeah.
Some of the fucking shit that he said was like, there was one towards the end where he quoted him that was fucking on point.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's talking about, like, basically, because you got to understand, like, during revolutionary times, a large portion of the population were still, like, loyal to the crown. Mm-hmm. They were Tories, right?
Yeah.
And he's talking to this crowd in Philadelphia, and he's basically like, if you want to go ahead and fucking, like, eat out of the hands of these despots and fucking lick their fingers clean, like, he just, like, basically calling them a bunch of fucking bootlicking pieces of shit.
Modern, or, past versions of the Blue Lives Matter
something about
crowd.
the lines of, like, may your chains fit loosely.
Yeah.
May your shackles fit loosely upon your limbs.
I really do feel like he's a reincarnated version of that motherfucker. Some of the shit he says.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, spicy.
Spicy.
Spicy quotations.
Yeah.
I also wrote a note here about how much I enjoyed his warnings for the presentation.
Yeah.
They always give me a sense of enjoyment.
It always makes me wonder, though, like, whenever he does a presentation, he's like, I know this is going to piss some of you off, but it's like, I'm pretty sure that if you went to a Mark Passio seminar...
Well, no. It's like the internet crowd, because he knows it's going online.
Oh, okay. I always imagine he was talking to his regular crowd that he had too.
Well,
it's kind of like, if you're at a Mark Passio seminar,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're already on board with a lot of the shit he's got to say.
I'm sure he wouldn't have a problem, though, telling a motherfucker their face. Like, if they got to they were the wrong one.
Well, that's another thing he says over and over again in that seminar, is like, I don't give a fuck. I will tell them to their face that they are fucking pieces of shit.
Yeah. His warnings before his presentations are not for children or the easily offended. My presentation style is often extremely intense and at times even combative. I won't sugarcoat my words or my delivery. Some of you may very likely become upset or angered at what I will say during the presentation. I don't care.
Yeah.
Boss. That will never make it untrue. The truth is, by its very nature, belligerent, because it wages war on all forms of deception and mind control. I do not present this information to be liked, to be popular, or to make money, or make friends. I speak publicly because I recognize that we are in a crisis of overwhelming ignorance and deception, and I have a moral obligation to communicate what I know to be taking place in our world in order to help others understand it, so that we can take action and do something about it. Telling the truth and making someone cry is better than telling a lie and making them smile. Then he moves into describing the mindset of humanity by quoting everybody's favorite Masonic author, Manly P. Hall. It's not the wrath of the Almighty, but the stupidity of man that is causing most of the trouble. Due to this mindset, whether we recognize it or not, or accept it as a fact, we are in a state of slavery, or fleecing, whatever you want to call it.
It's slavery. You know, it's just like, I think there's a good meme that you posted a long time ago on Instagram. It was like, so if slavery from like actual, he covers this, there's covert slavery and overt slavery.
Yeah.
We're talking about overt slavery, which is actual, like having people in bondage and making them work for you,
whipping and shit.
Like when does it go from that to covert slavery? What percentage does it like? When does it stop being slavery? Like, and I take this example, like we all pay taxes, right?
It's theft,
and we get it taken from us. It's not voluntary.
No,
because if it was voluntary, if you stopped paying it, you wouldn't get in trouble. But guess what happens when you don't pay your taxes?
You're kidnapped. And if you fight back against kidnapping, you're murdered.
Ergo, and this is income tax, mind you. This is the money that you supposedly earned from your labor.
Or if you own a house and you've owned it for years and you stop paying your property taxes, they just take it anyway.
Yeah.
Because you don't own anything as a slave. Slaves can't have property.
A piece of your labor goes to them. So a percentage of your labor goes to the state. Okay? Yeah. That is slavery.
Correct. Slavery has never been okay.
It's not as like obvious as like, when,
it's cold slavery.
Yeah. It's definitely not like overt slavery, but it's still slavery.
Slavery has never been okay. It's not okay now and it never will be. So just keep that in mind. The great work we all need to undertake is to gain a working knowledge and understanding of natural law. Once we have acquired this understanding, it becomes our responsibility to awaken others to this information, as natural law is the only true solution to slavery. Natural law, I'm sure if you're brand new to the podcast and you have no idea what the fuck we're talking about, you should check it out because he could do a much better job than we can explaining it. But
or go read the Kybalion.
It's a great read. Just got my copy in the mail yesterday. $4 in it.
I need to find I don't know where my copy went. Does he? Okay.
Natural law is a set of universal, inherent, objective, non-man-made, eternal, and immutable conditions, which govern the consequences of behaviors of beings with the capacity for understanding the difference between harmful and non-harmful behavior, a worldwide common sense understanding of true objective morality, and the laws that govern behavioral consequences is the only true solution to the current human condition. Anything to add there at all?
Well, no, I just find it, there was a part where he talked about the movie K-Pax.
That's what I got right here.
Oh, okay. All right.
By describing right and wrong and how it applies to the movie K-Pax, have you ever seen that movie? I never have.
No, I haven't actually, but I know the premise.
Yeah. Well, he mentions an interaction. It's about an alien that comes to Earth and interacts with human beings that can't understand the alien's mindset. The humans ask the alien, what form of government his planet has, if they have a government. And the alien's confused. He's like, we don't have any need for government. And the people say, well, how do you know the difference between right and wrong? The alien's like, every living being knows the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah.
He goes on to talk about, he's like, it should be common sense.
Yeah.
Because we all have that inner barometer. And the one thing I was curious about, what you thought, if we were to get rid of law, right, and just have natural law, there are people that aren't going to follow the law. There are the same people that won't follow the law when there is law.
Yeah.
Basically. So I wonder if it's just like a thing where you come together as a community, global or whatever. You have this situation where you have all the rights, a right being anything that you do that doesn't harm or infringe upon another person's ability to do things.
Yeah.
And if you violate that, what do? They murder you?
Well,
are you put into exile?
It's a cite his notions later in Deadly Force. To kill somebody isn't necessarily wrong as long as it's being done in self-defense.
Right.
But then you ask yourself, what if someone cannot defend themselves? Right? I mean, we live in a world with all sorts of people who walk this earth, who are infirmed, who don't have the ability to defend themselves from those who would do them harm. So the question is who would you have protect them?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's a question that, here's the thing. Like, when I think of, like, the notion of anarchy and what it really means, imagine living in some sort of anarchistic world, right? There would be no, like local government would be about the highest form of government there was.
Yeah, just in your area.
Right.
Or whatever.
Duly elected leaders to represent communities.
And we're back. Unnamed energy drink caused me to have to take a bathroom break.
Yeah. So, that's what I see in my mind. Like, here's the thing. Like, if anything, large governments have always proven that they have the inability to actually govern people in a peaceful, harmonious way.
Yeah.
Right? Amongst our own communities, though, I feel like it's a little bit more harmonious.
Because you could reach out and touch a motherfucker if you had to.
On a global, in a communal scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could live amongst each other in relative peace with very little. Like if you think about it like this, if you took away the elements of understanding that, like, say for example, like in our community, like the biggest thing that's going to happen is like people dealing drugs, right?
But that's assuming drugs are illegal.
Exactly. So like in our community, if that weren't a thing and we didn't have people fleecing us, like what would where would the harm come from?
Right.
You know what I mean? Where would that be? That's the question you got to ask yourself, you know?
That's the thing, too, I feel like, with this system that we have of criminal justice or rehabilitation, whatever you want to call it. There's no fear anymore. If you were dealing with something this simple as natural law, something that you don't have to be taught necessarily, because it's simple.
Yeah.
Right? But so's the solution. Like if you violate somebody's rights. Mm-hmm. He goes on to describe the only crimes that there are. And I thought that they're all theft, basically.
Yeah, it's all derived from theft. And that may sound too simple for some people, but think about it like this. Whether it be theft of property, that's the most obvious one, because that's the one people will think of, right? But you got to think of theft on a much grander scale. It's not just theft of property. Murder is the taking of one's life without their consent.
Yeah. Assault, taking without just cause of another's physical well-being.
Causing someone duress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rape, taking another's free will, sexual consent. Theft, taking property which does not belong to you. Trespass, taking security in another's dwelling which does not belong to you. And coercion, taking another's free will which also does not belong to you.
I would also say to encompass that, you would have to include another form of theft that we call fraud. Mm-hmm. Fraud is theft of the truth.
Yeah.
So still, once again, theft.
Theft. It's all theft.
It's all theft. You've taken away someone's ability to consent.
With it being boiled down to that, and then actually learning, because I forget what the percentage was, but he talks about somewhere doing a study, or maybe he did a study on a certain amount of people that he asked to define what a right is. And nobody knew the answer, which is fucking disturbing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I didn't either, so it's whatever. But it's just any action that you want to perform that doesn't harm or take away another's rights. That's what a right is. Mm-hmm. You see, the Constitution doesn't give us the rights. We know that. It binds the government from doing things against our rights.
Yeah.
Making them immutable. And look how far and fucked up it became.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I think it's time to common sense solutions.
Yeah. Well, this is the other thing I was thinking about earlier while I was listening to this seminar, actually, is that because he talked a lot about the Founding Fathers during it.
Yeah.
And something that crept back into my head was the notion that, like, okay, here's the thing, like, say, for example, like, where we go across seas and fight and bomb brown people and shit like that, right?
Right.
Or decide to intervene in people's other countries' governments and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, here's the thing. The Founding Fathers made it explicitly clear in the Declaration of Independence that we were to treat every human being that walked this earth with the same amount of care and rights that we had as U.S. citizens.
Right.
They did not perceive the notion that that U.S. citizens were entitled to rights that others were not.
No, they were trying to break free from an oppressive government, and they wanted freedom for everyone.
The Declaration of Independence was a document for all people that walk this earth.
I can hear it, too, the screeching of the South, where they say, or, people that hate the South for the slavery thing. He made that explicitly clear, too. He's like, the founders tried to end slavery because they knew it was wrong.
Well, certain founders did.
Well, right.
Well, let's call the good founders. Let's say the ones we know about, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams. I didn't know this until this seminar, that in Virginia, it was illegal to release slaves.
Right. It's crazy.
So that's the thing. Like, people are like, well, Jefferson had slaves. Well, Jefferson lived in Virginia, and apparently, well, and then the question is, like, he could have broke the law.
Could have.
But at the same time, I mean,
Monticello is an excellent example, though, of what he thought of slaves. mean, it's a giant compound where he taught them, like, learning. He put them through schooling. He clothed them. He fed them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, he wasn't treating them like property.
Like, basically, what it came down to is the big group of, like, when you think of, like, Jefferson, Adams, Franklin, those types, right?
Yeah.
They came together, and the first time they started drafting this stuff, the abolition of slaves was on their list of things they were going to do. Okay, but as soon as that shit got brought up,
South was like,
the whole
no.
the whole Southern contingency, all the Southern colonies were like, deuces, and they literally walked out.
Yeah,
they walked out and said, "We're not signing this,
right?
Because this isn't like because they knew they were going to lose money."
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, even though, like, some of the founding fathers, it's like he said, some of them are fucking great. Mm-hmm. But there are some who are fucking villains. And some of those villains signed the Declaration of Independence.
Right. So there's that. They like you said, they wanted to end it, but they couldn't. So it's one of those lesser two evils things.
And they even foreshadowed then that because they didn't resolve the conflict then, it was something that was going to be resolved later, and it was going to be bad.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that knows history knows that.
I think that as simple as they wanted to make it, and as free as they wanted us to be, not just Americans, but everybody. Like, the reason why we've been able to slide into so much tyranny is because everybody's fucking lazy. Yeah. Nobody knows any of this shit. And that's what he said. He's like, this is all common sense. Natural law is common sense, but somehow in the backward state of our species, I have to make a 9-hour natural law presentation to, like, explain to you the difference between right and wrong.
Well, that and the fact that I think, like he said, more or less, like, we replaced the monarchy with the government.
Right.
And the thing is, I don't think the original intention of the Founding Fathers was to have a federal government as large as what we have now.
No.
That was never intended.
It had two purposes. It was like...
it was to check against states violating the natural rights of its citizenry.
Yeah.
And to protect our country from outside, like, militaries. Like, to prevent invasion.
A broad collective.
Yeah.
That's it. And we've definitely surpassed that.
Well, we went way beyond that.
Well beyond it. Another accurate measurement that he gave that smacked me in the face, like walking into the chip aisle at Walmart and seeing two homeless people fucking.
Yeah.
Was when he talked about how he talks a lot about the free market and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of his stuff. And the value that the people gave his work, the amount of hours of research that he put into all of his seminars from last year and all the time delivering it, $3.5 million.
Yeah.
Is the going rate.
Like, he calculated his labor.
And the value of it that was given to it by the people, he made $13,000, just a little bit over.
Yeah.
Because the people would rather value football players or rappers or e-thoughts or whatever it might be. Well, that's fucking crazy.
That's the thing, like, when I say this, I don't mean it in the literal sense. When milk is so cheap.
It's tasty, too.
And so sweet.
Sweet.
Why would you try to eat tough, chewy, stringy,
hearty
meat?
I like meat, though.
I do, too. But you can see why people get so lost in the fucking
trivialities.
In the ebb and flow of all the fucking garbage that just gets recycled over and over again.
Right. I left that as an example here to shamelessly plug ourselves, where we would say, where do you, just as a thought experiment, like, where do you place your time? Where do you place your money? At what altar do you pray at, basically? You putting your money into, ridiculous, frivolous shit, expensive clothing, TVs, movies, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Or, maybe just check out patreon.com/bones and tubs.
There you go.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. We're not milk. That's the problem.
Nah, we're meat. Tainted with.
We try to make it as tasty and palpable as possible.
We put seasonings on that bitch.
Yeah, put some Lowry's garlic salt on there.
You got a nice crystal glass of milk too to wash it down with.
Some pepper.
Yeah.
But
digressing back to slavery, just a definition.
Yeah.
Slavery is a claim of ownership on your person, the product of your labor or your possessions, in whole or in part. All natural rights are property rights. Understanding this is fundamental to understanding the condition of slavery. We all own ourselves and have the right to live freely and exercise our natural rights, provided actions we perform do not infringe upon another person's rights. Anyone who dares to try and stop people from living within these natural rights is making a direct claim of ownership upon others, which is the very definition of slavery. Those who do this or condone this are tyrants and should be treated as such. I'm looking at you, police, military, and politicians.
So to break that down, okay, we know that we pay an income tax, correct?
Oh, yeah.
We pay property taxes on something we own, we're correct?
Fuel taxes, too.
That is
Consumption.
Consumption taxes, I feel like, I'm
just saying.
Here's the thing.
So many goddamn taxes.
Yeah, I get it. That is a claim over us, because you got to think of your labor as a tangible thing, right? Imagine if your labor was like a beer, right?
Yeah.
It's a can of beer, right? And it's something you had produced. You were able to make beer, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think you should have that whole beer. You made it. You wanted it, right?
Yeah.
But how about this? Someone comes in and says, that looks like a good beer, and then opens your beer, drinks a couple sips of it, and then gives it back to you.
30%.
It says, you can have the rest of this.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Thank you.
And the thing is, there's nothing you can do to stop them. If you try to stop them from drinking your beer,
they'll kidnap you.
They'll kidnap you or kill you.
Yeah. That's fine, though, right? Slavery's fine. No?
If you can't stop somebody from doing something that you don't want them to do, then you're enslaved.
It's virtually like getting raped.
I'm not going to take it that far.
I'm just saying, the politicians are raping you right now.
Because here's the thing,
I feel like I've been raped.
Here's the thing, we're in a broad mystical sense consenting to all of this because we allow it to happen continuously.
Are we like the drunk date? Is that our level of consent? We're drunk on the lie of the social contract.
Drunk on sweet milk and social contracts, yeah.
That's the price we pay to live in a society.
Roads!
My roads, though.
Yeah.
Cut your goddamn tree down.
Yeah.
Cut it down, or we'll cut it down, and we'll tell you how much it was worth.
Yeah, you see, it's
you
only,
fucker.
It's mine when it costs money.
Yeah. Here's the heavy, hurtful part that I was excited about.
Okay.
Only because I like to suffer.
Yeah.
And the police and military are the enforcers of modern-day slavery. They work for the ruling class and the dictates of the ruling class. Until they walk away from their immoral jobs, humanity is going to remain enslaved, or will be pushed to the point of the bloodiest revolution on this planet. The great work is to get these people to quit their cult, to wake these people up and help them to understand and regain their empathy lost through either conditioning or psychopathy. The police and military are the modern-day equivalent of the house slaves of the Civil War period. They are the people who are keeping the current system of slavery in place. They do this by duress.
You probably just pissed off a lot of our listeners with that. And that's okay, because that's going to have to happen. That was going to have to... That's got the Band-Aid off, right?
I don't think it's going to make them mad.
I don't know, man. Because here's the thing, like, this is... Okay. You can... It's crazy I've had this conversation before, right?
Yeah.
You can sit and talk to somebody who is proud to have served in some branch of the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
And... like, they will openly admit that whatever... like, say, like, they served in Iraq. They know, without a shadow of a doubt, that we were not there to give them freedom.
It ain't about freedom.
We weren't there to, like, liberate them.
No.
We were there to contain assets. And when I say assets, I mean resources.
Well, we talked about that in our CIA episode. All the global entanglements have been, in the 20th century, have been caused by, in 21st century thus far, have been caused by the CIA.
And then those same people...
PSYOPs.
...will tell you that, yes, they realize that it's like shady practices, like we're being ruled by somebody. Right. But the second you tell them that, like, this would all stop if you stopped doing it.
Just say no.
You just say no. And that this isn't something to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
No, then you get levels. Like, they don't like hearing that shit.
El Presidente.
El Presidente.
Talking to El Presidente the other day about his...
Yeah, it was a stepdad.
Stepdad had been drafted to Vietnam. And I want to know where more of these men went. Because, I mean, granted, there's no draft now. But how many people are, like, against the war to this level, where you would be told you're drafted and then purposely fail your senior year in high school?
Yeah.
You know, you retake your senior year. As soon as you graduate, they send you another draft letter.
Yeah.
So then you try to speed down the interstate, playing catch me with a cop.
Yeah.
He catches you, asks you, like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Are you drunk? He's like, just take me to jail. He's like, I get drafted. I'm going to Vietnam. He's like, can't help you, friend. And then the cop just leaves. Like, where are those men?
That's dissidence right there. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing, though. Those kind of men we've labeled them draft dodgers and whatnot.
Fuck.
Like, people fail to understand that, like, nobody wanted to go to fucking Vietnam.
When I think of draft dodgers, I think of a politician's son like John McCain. Or, not John McCain, George Bush.
Like, that's probably why in Vietnam, the reason, like, eventually we fucking pulled out and got out was because there wasn't a good enough reason for the people to get behind it. Because we realized it was just it was the higher-ups playing fucking chess with each other. Mm-hmm. And we were just their fucking pawns to be blown up and used as bullet sponges.
Right.
But, like, think of the sick game they played with, like, say, like, Iraq and Afghanistan. Where, like, we went to these fucking countries under the pretense that...
9/11.
Yeah, well, yeah, 9/11. And that Iraq was harboring weapons of mass destruction. Like, once they figured out that there was no weapons of mass destruction there, we should have gone ahead and fucking killed the people who sent them there in the first place.
15 years later.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, our priorities and our morality are way, like, fucking shifted in the wrong fucking direction when it comes to this. Like,
but my Super Bowl, you know?
Like, the fact that fucking Dick Cheney and George W. Bush are still able to fucking walk as free men on this planet boggles my fucking mind.
It's crazy.
Because they sent men to war and to die over nothing.
Their sick fucking game. Or eugenics, whatever you want to, whatever lens you want to apply to that scenario. Fuck them. You know, and then, you know, we go on to talk about duress. Duress is a constant condition of coercion of the free will of a being or group of beings committed by a being or another group of beings through threats of violence, actual acts of violence, if those being coerced do not comply with the decrees or commands that are given to them.
You know what, when I think of duress, what I think of? I think of that feeling you get when you're driving your car and suddenly you see the red and blue lights flashing behind you in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
That feeling that you get.
Comply.
And I swear to God, if anybody says they don't get that feeling, that dread, when that happens,
they're a liar.
You're a fucking liar.
Yeah.
You're a fucking liar. And that's, to me, is duress.
That's exactly what it is. That or the fact that you work 88 days a year to pay your taxes. You know what I mean? It's all a constant state of stress and duress.
Yeah.
And then, you know, further on, he talks about natural law. He's like, I'm never telling anyone to commit any action. I'm just letting you know what your rights are.
Yeah.
Your natural rights are that if you are ever placed in duress by any person or persons, you have the right to defend yourself. Meaning of revolution.
Yeah.
He's like, what's the difference between a common street gang that robs you when you come out of a fucking, you know, convenience store or the mafia telling you got to pay oops insurance? That's duress.
Yeah.
It's also duress when they take 30% of your fucking income through the force or threat of force.
I tell you what, I love something that he said, and it rang true to me because this has always been my point where it would be, I would just, it would end like
bloodily.
All notions that I wasn't going to fight.
Yeah.
And that's if they either repealed or somehow got around the Second Amendment and began gun confiscation. He's like, basically, Mark Passio's like, that's the only way shit's going to get real.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the only way it's going to get real in this country is if they're like, you know what? Fuck you. We're taking your guns.
Right. Without the great work. I feel like our cause, or at least my cause with this episode, if we could just get one fucking person out of the thousands of people that'll inevitably download and listen to this, right?
Yeah.
Just one person who to completely fucking shed the bullshit the way we shed the bullshit when we watch this. I feel like I've done my job.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure there will be more than one.
I'd say so.
But think about that. Exponentially, like we don't have to have a huge percentage of people.
Yeah. Yeah. All of you should go out there and check out Mark Passio's Duress, Dissidence, and Deadly Force. It's it definitely dissects the issues thoroughly.
Yeah.
There's peppered in his other notion. There's other things in there too, though. I mean, he definitely peppered it with some of that good stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
I love all his shit. Cult.
You know, because I love how he talks about how the notion of in the Ten Commandments, it's it says thou shalt not kill, but he's like, that's a misinterpretation of the original text.
Thou shalt not murder.
It's thou shalt not murder.
Right. You can kill if killing is called for. but don't be a fucking murderer.
Yeah. That, and he nailed down. I haven't listened to it, but I'm going to have to listen to Fake Ass Christians.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, because and I have a feeling.
Because there's a lot of people in your life that you'll be like, I need to share this with.
And they will fucking. I already know, dude. Yeah. I already fucking know. Sure. Like the fact that, there's an entire book of the Bible that's dedicated
to Romans,
to the people that fucking killed Jesus. Yeah. And basically, giving, it's instilling them with the authority that they wanted.
He's like, thin blue line crowd. Think of it this way. You Christian conservatives that are wearing your thin blue line, regalia. The police are the ones that killed Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And they do it all over again.
Yeah. Don't think anything's changed.
No. Ain't nothing changed.
Because, he mentions there's the three, it's the unholy trinity, as it calls it. Mm-hmm. Religion, money, and government. The Father, the Mother, and the body.
I like, too, that he doesn't parse words. He talks about anybody that has a belief in government. Means that you believe in slavery and you support slavery because government is slavery.
Yeah.
The way he distills down these, what should be hours-long topics are just soundbite-sized sentences.
I feel there's always an inner conflict. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I feel it when I listen to him.
Yeah.
Because he's so, polar.
And he lives his shit, too.
He's so polar, and it's because it's all black and white with him pretty much. And it's I tried to live my life in the notion, there's more gray to be held, but he's kind of really, really polar.
Strip that away, though. Gray is nothing more than a colored version of moral relativism.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Exactly.
There's either right or wrong.
Yeah, you're right. It is just moral. It's me trying to. It's still hanging on the pieces of moral relativism.
You just gotta. We're shedding it out. Shedding that skin.
But yeah, you guys should go check out Duress, Dissidence, and Deadly Force.
Check out it all.
You check out his natural law seminar. It'll change your life.
Yeah, it'll actually change everything about you.
Cosmic abandonment will make you want to jump off of a tall building.
Yeah, in a good way though.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my favorite ones was the occult mockery of police and military.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
What was that one called? It was occult.
It's the occult mockery of the police and military.
Okay, but there was one you turned me on to first, and it was about the occult, specifically symbolism in the occult.
Well, let's check, shall we? He's got Anarchy in the Occult, Demystifying the Occult.
Demystifying the Occult.
Okay.
That was the first Mark Passio video I ever watched. It's amazing.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Go check it out.
Maybe 4 hours. I'll tell you one that really fucked me up. I might have watched this one first. Was Mark Passio. Everything I needed to know in life I learned from watching The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Where he does a minute-by-minute breakdown of The Wizard of Oz for all of its occult truth and symbolism. He also does one... No, this is what it was. Have you seen the Matrix trilogy decoded?
No, I haven't seen that one.
He breaks down from the first Matrix movie to the third Matrix movie and breaks it all down, all the symbolism and everything. And I think that was my very first introduction into the Mark Passio way of things. But definitely check him out. We mentioned all of his links earlier, but YouTube, Mark Passio, or What on Earth is Happening is his podcast, and What on Earth is Happening.com is his website. And he has an offer where if you buy a 1 terabyte hard drive, like an external, which I think they're like $40 or $50.
Yeah.
And then you send it to him how he wants it sent, which is simple, a decently thick box.
Through the UPS preferably, I believe, right?
Yeah. Because of the insurance aspect. Yeah. And then just some fucking bubble wrap and an envelope with he requests a donation, which I don't have a problem
for what
with.
You're getting in it.
Yeah, he loads the terabyte hard drive with all of the information that he ever has used to wake up.
Highly suggestible.
Fucking A. I'm about ready to get on that myself.
Yes. Go check him out. Great. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Yeah.
Thank you for our new Patreon contributors and all of our other ones that have been with us for so long.
Dedicated.
If you haven't yet, go on and check it out. Our English, Russian, Canadian, American.
Yeah.
And that one dude in Brazil.
Listen here, you beautiful bastard.
Yeah. You guys have a great week. If you haven't already, go over to Patreon. Join the nation for $1.
To the thousands or tens of thousands of you out there in the United States, tell your friends. Everybody tell your friends.
Yeah, share with a friend.
Sharing is caring.
Yes. We'd like to thank you all for listening. We hope you have a good week. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Hey, just FYI out there, not to say we don't love our current music, but if any of our listeners out there are musicians or know a musician who would love to do a theme song for the Bones and Tubbs show, let us know.
We will be glad to imbibe you on the airwaves.
Exactly. And we'd probably end up putting your music on our show.
And if you sell music, we will link you in every one of our episodes the same way we've done Ryan Simpson.
Yes.
RyanSimpson.bandcamp.com.
Thank you, Ryan Simpson, for letting us use your music in our show.
Yes.
We hope you all have a good week, and we hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next time.
We love you.
We really do.
Neighbors or our children. The scene unfolds. Everyone just stares. And so you still today, but everyone has their fingers in their ears, and their mouths are wide open, shouting through the cries to defend their selfish desires. The scene unfolds. So you still carry that stone. I know it's hard.